Welcome back to our MemoMap series. Today we are going to MemoMap the smooth muscles, and first we are going to discuss the types of smooth muscle, and then we are going to explore the structure characteristic and how the smooth muscle differ from the skeletal muscle. Then we are going to compare their contraction properties. Then briefly we are going to simplify the mechanism of the contraction and relaxation of smooth muscles, and we also going to discuss the neuromuscle junction of the smooth muscles. So let's begin to build our memo map for today step by step. Now let's start with the types of the smooth muscle. There are two types. First, the multi-unit smooth muscles. Here in this type, the fibers are separated. Each fiber has its own nerve supply, each contract independent. There are no gap junction between them, they are contracting independently. And the best example for this is ciliary muscles. The second type is the unitary or the single unit, and here the fibers are connected by gap junction, and so they contract together as a one functional unit, so they are called functional syncytiums. And the best example for these types is the visceral smooth muscles. And now let's talk about the structural difference between the smooth muscle and the skeletal muscle. First, regarding the general appearance, while the smooth muscle is non-striated, the skeletal muscle is striated. And the smooth muscle, there is no organized sarcomere, while in the skeletal muscle there is an organized sarcomere. There is no troponin with the smooth muscle, but the skeletal muscle, the troponin exists. So now let's discuss the difference between both skeleton and smooth regarding the contractile filament. For actin, the actin is attached to dense, not Z disc in the smooth muscles, and this dense body attached either to cell membrane or it is dispersed in the cytoplasms. And regarding the myosin, it is interspersed among these actin. It has a bipolar arrangement, so cross bridge in different direction occur due to this, and also there is no troponin in this contractile filament, and the contraction still depend on the calcium and the ATP. Let's talk about the difference between the smooth muscle and skeletal muscle contraction. First, the speed. While the skeletal muscle contract rapidly, the smooth muscle contract slowly. Then the duration of the contraction for the skeletal muscle is short, while for the smooth muscle is prolonged. And regarding the cross-bridge cycling, it's very fast in the skeletal, while it's slow in the smooth muscle. And the ATP's activity is high in skeletal and low in smooth muscles. Meanwhile, the energy used in the skeletal is very high, and the smooth muscle, this energy use is very low. Regarding the maximum force generated, it's very higher in the smooth muscle this time, but it's lower in the skeletal muscles. The relaxation occur very slow in the smooth muscle, but fast in the skeletal muscle. That's to say, all the smooth muscle, it is slower, but the skeletal muscle is faster, except for the tension or the maximum force. It's very high in smooth and very low in the skeletal muscles. While the smooth muscle contraction is prolonged, well, for the slow ATP's activity, for the long attachment duration of actin myosin, and also we have only a 1 ATP, so this is an energy saving, and by the sustained tone and the energy efficiency, which is a characteristic for the smooth muscles. And now let's talk about the mechanism of contraction of the smooth muscle, whether it is different or similar to the skeletal muscle. So let's first begin with the neuromuscle junction. There is a structural differences. since the nerve is not somatomotor, but rather it is an autonomic nervous system, and there is no synaptic cleft, rather there is a varicosity, and the varicosity containing the neurotransmitter, which either to be acetylcholine that can cause a contraction or relaxation of smooth muscle, and norepinephrine, which cause contraction or relaxation of the smooth muscles. Remember that in the skeletal muscle, the neurotransmitter only acetylcholine, and it only causes a contraction of the skeletal muscles. Now let's talk about the second point, which is the excitation contraction coupling. In the smooth muscle, there are no T-tubule, but rather caveoli, and it transmitting the action potential, triggering the release of the calcium. What about the rule of the calcium? The calcium increasing, first we starting with the increasing of the intracellular calcium, and this occur by trigger, and the trigger could be a nerve, hormone, stretch, or a chemical factor. And remember that the sources for the calcium which enter to the smooth muscle either from the extracellular fluid, which is the main source, or from the sarcoplasmic reticulum. Then the calcium combine with the calmodulin, forming a calcium calmodulin that activating the myosin light chain kinase, which is responsible for the phosphorylation of the myosin head, and this enhance or start the actin-myosin cross-bridge. Then contraction occur by repeating the cross-bridging. Relaxation occur by calcium pump back either to extracellular or to the sarcoplasmic reticulum, and the myosin dephosphorylation by a phosphatase enzymes. The Remember also that the smooth muscle differing from the skeletal muscle in the electrical activity, while the skeletal muscle, the electrical activity, the action potential is in the spike. Here in the smooth muscle, the electrical activity has two shapes, either the spike with depolarization, repolarization, or action potential with a plateau. And here the depolarization is a little bit prolonged, and this is due to the opening of a new channel, which is a calcium channel, which characterized by slow closures. At the end, we need to remember also that we have two special properties for the smooth muscle, which is the latches mechanisms, which mean the maintaining tone with minimum energy, and this is due to maintaining of cross bridge and the low ATP consumptions. And also we have another property, which is the stress relaxation, and the stretch relaxation, the increasing in the tensions occur early in the smooth muscles. After sometimes it start to decrease gradually toward the original tensions. So today we organize smooth muscle into clear MemoMap. First we talked about the types. There are two types, multi-unit and unitary. Remember, the unitary contract as one unit. Then the structure characterization of smooth muscle, the difference between the smooth and skeletal in general appearance, and in the contractile filament. Remember, in contractile filament we don't have a troponin, rather we will use the calmodulin. And then we talked about the contraction characterization of the smooth what the difference between it and the skeletal muscle. Discuss the difference regarding the speed of contraction, the duration, the cross-bridge cycling, and the ATP's activity, energy use, maximum force, and the relaxation's onset. Then we talked about the neuromuscle junctions, the structural difference between the skeletal and smooth muscle, and the neurotransmitter which are released. Remember, the skeletal acetyl activate, while in the smooth acetyl or noradrenaline they could activate or inhibit, and they act opposing to each other. And mechanism of contraction and relaxation, we talked about the excitation contraction coupling, and remember the T-tubule is replaced by calvuli, so the action potential propagates through the calvuli. Calcium sources either from outside or from the sarcoplasmic reticulum, and the stimuli not only nervous, could be nervous, nervous hormonal stretchings or change in the surrounding environment. And we talked about the role of the calcium through binding with the calmodulin to activate the kinase enzyme that phosphorylate the myosin cross-bridging, initiating the actin-myosin contraction. That's all for today. See you in next videos.